first homework video. I'm super excited to start this chapter, and I know it's going to be a little bit tricky at times, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So, in this video, I'm going to go over 3 homework problems from the homework number 1 section, as well as talking about how our work we're doing this week with ratios relates to our ratios project. So, I'm going to begin by talking about the 3 homework problems and then finish off with a project. If you're just wanting to check your homework questions or to skip ahead, homework question number 4, you can click right here to go straight to it. Homework question number 11, you can click right here to go straight to it. And then homework question number 19, you can click straight here to go right to it. Also, you can click here to go right to the project if you've already watched this video maybe once or twice. So in this video, I'm going to go through the problem, how I would do it, in around the same way you should be doing it. The thinking should be the same, even if maybe you use a couple different techniques. So let's start.
Question number 4 from our homework. I'm going to go through first with a highlighter and highlight everything that I think is important to the question that I might need to use later on. So, first it says complete at the top. I'm going to make sure and highlight that so that way when I'm all done, I can see if I actually completed the problem. Next it says Mr. Gonzalez put some pencils into bundles of 10. So, I'm going to highlight bundles of 10. He gave 4 bundles to Charlie. So I'm going to highlight 4 bundles to Charlie. And 9 bundles to Lisa, and I'm going to highlight 9 bundles to Lisa. So that's all of the important information it gives me in the actual story. And I want to make sure I understand that part so that I can actually do the questions. So now let's go to question number 4. It says, the ratio of the number of pencils Lisa has to the number of pencils Charlie has is... So, and then I see these blanks, which means that I know this is going to be a fill-in-the-blank question. So now I'm going to make sure I highlight within the question to see what it's actually asking me. So it says the ratio. So I know I'm going to be looking for a ratio. And then it says the number of pencils Lisa has to the number of pencils Charlie has. So I'm just going to highlight Lisa to Charlie. And that way I know what the ratio is going to be and who they want first. They want Lisa and then Charlie. So just to reinforce that, I'm actually going to write right underneath this little ratio section that I've left. I'm going to write right under here Lisa, and I'm going to write Charlie. So that way I know that Lisa's number is going to have to go here and Charlie's number is going to have to go here. So now I don't know what Lisa to Charlie is, so I'm going to go back to the story and see if I have the information here. So I know I highlighted 4 bundles to Charlie. So I know that Charlie has 4 bundles of pencils. So I'm going to write a 4 over here for Charlie. Now, it does say that there's bundles of 10. So in each bundle there's 10 pencils. But because I'm not concerned about the number of pencils, I'm concerned about actually how many bundles there are, we're going to focus on just the number of bundles, which is 4. So now I'm going to go back to my story and see if I can find them for Lisa. It says 9 bundles to Lisa, so I'm going to write 9 there. Again, we're not concerned about the exact number of pencils. We want to know how many bundles there are compared to Charlie. But if we actually were to make the bundles, we would go, let's say that's a bundle of 10, right? So then here's another bundle of 10, here's a bundle of 10, here's a bundle of 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Let's see where we at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. 9. And then I can make here 4 bundles for Charlie. So the reason this ratio is 9 to 4 instead of being 90 to 40 is because in each one of these there are 10 pencils, right? But we want to know what the ratio is. We want to compare the 2 quantities that they have. So because there's the same number of pencils in each one, we don't have to write 90 to 40. We can assume that because we know that how many pencils are in each bundle, we know that we can convert 9 to 90 if needed. So that's why we want to keep it in 9 to 4 and not 90 to 40. So for every 4 bundles that Charlie has, Lisa has 90 bundles. For every 4 bundles Charlie has, Lisa has 9 bundles. So for every 40 pencils Charlie has, Lisa has 90. The ratio is still the same, 9 to 4. So now I'm going to move down and I'm going to actually answer question number 5 as well. So this question says, the ratio of the number of pencils Lisa has to the total number of pencils is... So again, I'm going to highlight the question to make sure that I understand what it's asking me. So it says the ratio. So I know it wants a ratio. And that says the number of pencils Lisa has, so I'm going to write Lisa, to the number of total pencils. So I'm going to write and I'm going to do total number of pencils. So I know from the last problem that Lisa has 9 bundles. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that first. But I'm gonna make sure that I put it in the right order. So I'm gonna write underneath each little line which one is supposed to go where. So I know Lisa has 9. Now, back in this question, I didn't answer the total number of pencils, so I can't find that from there. And the story also doesn't tell me the total number of pencils. It just says that he put some pencils into bundles of 10. So, a way that I can figure out what the total number is that I can combine Lisa and Charlie's pencils. So, I could write Lisa, 9 bundles, plus Charlie, 4 bundles. And I can add those together, and that will give me a number of 13 total bundles, right? So that's going to be our ratio for the total. So I can put that right here. So my ratio is going to end up being 9 to 13. So the total is actually 130 pencils, right? But we remember, we're making sure that we know that each bundle has 10 pencils. So this is the actual ratio we're looking for, not the exact number of pencils. We're looking for 9 to 13, because for every 9 pencils Lisa has, the total has 13. So now I'm going to go back to where the very top of my instructions are and make sure I actually did what it says. I highlighted complete. So I want to make sure that all of my blanks are filled. And they are. So that means I completed the entire problem. So I know that I've at least covered all of the instructions. So this is question number 11 and 12 from the homework. Again, I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight any important information from the question and from the actual information to see if there's anything I need to know. So first of all, I'm going to highlight complete. So that way when I'm all done with my problems, I can go back and make sure I actually completed everything. So now I'm going to read the first question. It says, the ratio of length A to length C is... This is another fill in the blank problem. So I'm going to go back to the actual question and make sure that I know what it's asking me. So it says the ratio, so I'm going to highlight ratio because I know that that's what they want. And then it says length A to length C. So like I did in problem number 4 and 5, I'm going to write A and C here. That way I know exactly what order they're supposed to go in. So this question actually comes with a little diagram. Here it shows different lengths of sticks using cubes. So to figure out what length A is, I'm just going to count how many cubes are in this length. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 cubes in length A, so I'm going to write 3 in my A space for the ratio. And now it says to length C, so I'm going to do the same thing that I did with length A and just count how many cubes are in this length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 cubes in length C. So I'm just going to put 7 right there. And that's all I need to do for this question. It's just asking me for comparing the length. So you can do ratios not only with quantities like we did in question 4 and 5 using the pencils, but also comparing lengths. Let's try it again for question number 12. Again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to highlight any important information from the question. So it says the ratio of length C to length B is. So I'm going to highlight the ratio, length C to length B. And I'm going to write my little guidelines underneath the ratio. C to B. So from the question number 11, I already know the length of C. So I'm just going to fill that in right away. I don't know length B though, so I'm going to go back to my little diagram and I'm going to count how many cubes are in length B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 cubes in length B. So I'm just going to make sure and write that in. And so because I have all my blanks filled in, I am totally done with the question. Again, we can compare ratios using quantities like pencils, or we can compare it using lengths like cubes. Now I'm going to go back to my very first instructions that say complete and make sure that I actually did that. I filled in all the blanks for both questions, so I know I completed the problem. So I'm done with question number 11 and 12. So this is question number 19. I'm going to read the top instructions first. Solve. So I want to make sure that I'm solving for something. So at the very end, I'm going to come back and make sure that I actually solved the problem. So now I'm going to read question number 19. It says, Grandma gave $15 to Linda and Diane. Linda got $7. So it's kind of tricky. Make sure you understand what's happening. So $15 went to Linda and Diane. So they shared that amount somehow. But we know that specifically Linda got $7. So I'm going to highlight that as well. Now let's go to the first question. It says, how much money did Diane get? Well, we know how much Linda got and we know how much they got in total. So I'm going to make sure I highlight Diane so that I know who I'm looking for. And now I'm going to draw myself a picture. This is what would help me the most. I'm going to draw a little bar, and that's going to be my total. So I'm just going to write total here on top. So the length of the entire bar is the total money they got. So that's going to be the total $15. So now, if I cut it, this little section right here, I'm going to say that's the $7 that Linda has. And I'm going to shade that in. So I know that this is the section that I'm looking for. This is what Diane got. So using this diagram, I can clearly see that all I have to do is subtract the $7 Linda received from the total amount that they were both given. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do 15, and I'm going to write total over here so that I make sure that I know what I'm talking about. And then over here, I'm going to write 7, and I'm going to write Linda. And then I'm going to subtract. So after subtracting, I know that I'm left with 8. And whatever's left over, it must be what Diane received. So Diane got $8. But I'm going to make sure that I write that somewhere that's very clear. So I'm going to write over here, Diane received $8. Just like that. And that's my final answer. So now I'm going to go down to question B. Find the ratio of the amount of money Linda got to the amount of money Diane got from Grandma. So now it wants me to find a ratio. So I'm going to make sure I highlight that. I want to find a ratio. And just like in our problems from the beginning of this homework, I'm going to highlight what I'm comparing. So I'm comparing Linda to Diane. So I'm actually going to set up my little ratios right now so that way I know exactly what I'm looking for. So I know I'm going to have some sort of ratio, and I know that they want me to have Linda first and then Diane. So I'm going to write those underneath so I make sure that I have them in the right order. So from up above, I was told that Linda received $7. So I'm just going to fill that in right away. Now, problem A also had me find how much Diane received. So I already know what Diane received as well, so I'm just going to fill that in. So my final ratio is going to be 7 to 8. So because this is talking about dollars, I have to make sure that I put my units in. So I'm going to write $7 to $8. You can also write out the word dollars afterwards if you'd like. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how this homework should help you to figure out part of your project. In your project, you have lots and lots of ratios. So this would be a good time to make sure you go through and find all of the ratios that you could possibly need to get to your final answer. Remember, this project is all about finding those ratios and using them in real-world problems. So if you're comparing one quantity to another, that's where you can use a ratio. So go through, make sure you find all your ratios. You might have to do some research beforehand. I know that some people have to do some stuff online or do some measurements, and that's totally fine. Get all of that done first and then find all of your ratios. And that's all you need to do for the first part of the project. I hope you guys enjoyed this first video. I'll see you in the next one.